Coming up on Oakdale Update, we'll meet our newly elected Mayor Stan Kowalski. We'll refresh your memory about some important code reminders, and we'll preview some upcoming events in the city. Stay tuned. Oakdale Update is straight ahead. Hello, and welcome to Oakdale Update. I'm your host, Frank Orsello. This is the City of Oakdale's news and information program about your community. Longtime Mayor Carmen Serac decided not to seek re-election this past fall. Stan Kowalski, who has served the City of Oakdale on the City Council for over a dozen years, ran for mayor and won the election in November. With me in the studio today is our new mayor, Stan Kowalski. Stan, thanks for joining us on Oakdale Update.
Thank you, Frank.
First of all, I want to congratulate you on winning the election. I know you worked hard. You were out putting signs up and meeting and greeting people.
Right.
And it looked like it worked, didn't it?
No, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor, a privilege. I'm really humbled to be mayor of Oakdale.
Okay. Give me a little bit of your background, where you work and what you do, that sort of thing.
Well, I grew up on the east side of St. Paul. Got married in 1979. Married a gal I met just after high school. We both went to Harding High School. We lived on the east side with our first house for like 8 years. Started a family. We had 2 children at the time, and then we found out about Oakdale.
Oh, really?
That was in '87.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife for sure found the right housing, loved it, encouraged me to come look at Oakdale. And
You've been here ever since?
yeah,
Same
moved in
house?
in '87.
Same
Our
house?
family grew to 4 children, same house. So that's like 29 years now. In fact, it was January of '87.
Sure.
And loved the community, raised the kids, was doing a little coaching, those kind of things that normal young parents do. Got on the Park and Planning Commission because maybe in my core I'm kind of a parks guy. That was kind of my start. And found I had success kind of getting things done. And I said, you know, I'd really like to continue to serve. I'll run for city council. And I was fortunate enough to get elected to that and felt I was doing good work, and it was well received by the residents.
About what year was that you got on council?
That was actually, it was 2001. I was appointed because I was in those days we had like 14 people running, and they deemed me a good 3rd place finisher.
Yes, I see.
And then someone moved out, Raleigh Harrington. I got appointed. I was able to get my little traction going. Then I've been reelected in 2002 for the first time. So I was a 4-term city council person.
So what was Oakdale like back when you first got on? Do you remember?
Oh,
in terms of building and that sort of thing.
It was just growing so rapidly. I mean, it was amazing. The staff, city staff, couldn't even keep up. I mean, it was the city, I think, was actually at the time growing so fast they would take development money rather than land and things like that. So we were maybe kept a little bit short.
Now, that was pretty much residential at that time?
Yeah,
not
very much.
So much.
You started to see maybe in the 90s then the industrial and commercial come. And the city, everybody wanted to serve on the city council. That's when I said, hey, what a great city. I'd like to help form it and shape it, because it was just growing so rapidly, and it was exciting times. And
were you on the council when we had the old chambers down the Quonset huts? You weren't. That was already gone.
Just after that.
Right after that, yeah. Because that was in.
But when I was on the east side before we moved out here, we would drive out to the Oakdale Mall.
Yeah.
That was a popular thing in the 80s,
absolutely,
but it was short-lived.
And it's much better now, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, what were some of the big projects back in those days? Do you remember?
Well, getting on council, I think the ones that stand out, Emation was just coming into play as I was on the planning commission, park and planning. The golf course, that was another big one. And then as we rolled into the 2000s, Target, having a Target store, more recently on the same site of McDonald's. The Oakdale Village to the south, you know, getting the Best Buy,
Oh, yes.
getting the Buffalo Wild Wings
That
and
was
the
a
Red Lobster.
Yeah.
And then into the north, you know, getting the theaters like the Marcus and the Carmine
And Fleet
Theaters.
Farm. Fleet Farm,
Yeah.
too. That was a good one.
So throughout the whole city, north to south, we've really had some nice things come
And they've
come into
all,
play
other
in the
than that
2000s.
mall up on 10th Street there, everything pretty well fell into place nicely, didn't it? And we have
Right.
some good properties out here.
Right. The mall was a tough one because it was
Well, in theory,
becoming dilapidated.
but it was, when it first went in, I mean, it served its purpose, but then it just, nobody took care of it, I guess.
Right.
is
Got
part of it.
outdated, and
Yes.
the city intervened, and now we've got the Hy-Vee. In fact, we just got a development award through the state of Minnesota for a great development on a redevelopment project.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
We'll be getting that award in January.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
That's the Hy-Vee property up there.
Right.
Yeah, great. Who was on the council when you first got on? Do you remember?
Well, I had the good fortune to start with Ted Berth.
Yes.
I was the new one, and then we had Lori Polkovic and Kent Dodas.
Lori Pokerback was on back then? She's been on
Yes.
that long too, huh?
This is her 5th term that she was just reelected to.
Oh, be goodness. So how was it working with, now you had some very, very good staff members. How did that work? I mean, and we're talking Craig Waldron and Dave, his assistant, and
Right.
Randy on the
Right.
Public Works. And how was it working with those people?
Great. I'm actually a big believer in our Carmen Streck's philosophy that we're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. So we have great department heads. You know, our city administrator, Craig Waldron, had won an award as the best administrator in the state. Brian Botmeyer's won the city engineer award, the best in the state. Dave Shops moved on as assistant. He was good. Susie Warren, as far as our finance, Sue Berry, our city clerk, it's just on and on. We have, I think it's 9 department heads, and they're really excellent, and they do such a good job, and the workers under them, our whole city workforce of about 100 is just does a tremendous job.
And it's going to be interesting because we're doing some major transitioning coming up soon here, getting a new administrator, and we have a new assistant administrator, and he seems like a pretty good man.
Right.
But there is still, I mean, you're getting new council people and new mayor and all that, so there might be some bumps in the road, maybe, perhaps, hopefully not, but could happen.
I have, that's my highest priority right now is, in fact, later this afternoon we'll be going through the interview process for the city administrator.
Oh, that's right, okay.
And we established that process back in September with the spirit that the newly elected city council would then jump into it, and we'd be ready to move on looking at candidates, and we hope to hire a city administrator.
So
in
did
about
you
a month.
put an ad out for out of state or anybody?
Right. We thought it was best to work with a professional company to recruit good candidates and put the process in a place that was thorough and fair. So it's going really well. We had, I think, about 40 candidates.
Wow, really?
And that's just a tribute to Oakdale as being a great place to work.
Absolutely.
And the support they've gotten from council.
Jeez,
So
that's
I want to
excellent.
continue that support of our really having a really good staff that does really good work for our taxpayers and residents.
You know, I just want to give a little shout to being a councilman. Now, a lot of people, when they see you on Channel 16, the council meetings and all that, they think a councilman is like a 2-hour, 2 hours or so, you know, 2 times a week you meet? You have a council meeting, second and fourth?
Twice we meet, second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. That's the bare minimum.
Okay, so people might think that, you know, it's a 2-hour thing from 7 to 9 and we're done. Tell us how much preparation you have to do for the meetings and that kind of thing?
Well, first of all, there's not a day I don't wake up and feel privileged to be elected, whether I was on council or as mayor. So you always feel it's a privilege and an honor, and so it's on a daily basis. You're either going to community activities. I like to go to them because it's the right thing to do, and I like to be involved in the community. But if you're elected, you should be out there, whether it's sports things, community holiday things, business association, business chamber things. But then also we get assigned committees. In fact, our first council meeting through a workshop will be doing committee assignments. So each council person can serve on anywhere from 4 to 7 committees. And myself, I've got education as a passion, so I go out and I serve on our 622 Education Foundation, and I personally do tutoring, and I help with the robotics class. So not only are there some things required, but I think it's kind of human nature of council people who want to maybe do extra things.
But I mean, for a meeting, I mean, you get packets of information, because I know I'm on the EDC, and I know we pass stuff on to you that you have to read in order to act on it or not act on it, whatever the case might be. So you get them from all the different commissions, correct? And I bet just a stack like this every time, isn't it? And then you have workshops, correct?
Workshops, special meetings. I usually tell people it's a kind of a 10 to 12 hour obligation on council. I'm anticipating that to increase some as mayor.
Now let me ask you this: how is your employer taking all this? Because you're going to probably be missing some work, and you know.
Well, really good. I mean, they're very intrigued when it's kind of rare for an employer. I work for Graco Incorporated. They've been a great place to work for, and they're really respectful that someone would step up and serve public office.
That's very good.
And I have a lot of vacation, so I'll be probably taking at least 2 weeks of personal vacation time to take off. Like today, I'm taking the whole day off for 2 different interviews. This one, we're getting a Economic Development Award for the Oakdale Mall site, where the new Hy-Vee is going in. And then we're doing city administrator interviews. So I'm taking the whole day off. But I'm taking a vacation day through my work.
Now, Carm was a self-employed person, so it was a little easier probably for him to take off. But you're, you know, and this is good that you're using vacation.
So I've been there a long time, and you know, and I'll make sure I give back to my employer. If I have to miss a few hours, I'll put in that time to make it right with my employer.
But good for them for supporting you on this venture. Now, let me ask you this: what did you learn from working with Carm? When he was council for 16 years, wasn't he? He was council person, then he was mayor for 2 terms, 4 terms? I don't
2
know.
terms. So the last 24 years he had served in elected office.
That's what it was. Okay, so what did you learn from Carm?
Wow. Just how to be steady, consistent, respect everyone. He would always say that you know, every decision's important because it affects a lot of people. May not be just the few people that are before you at council, may affect that whole neighborhood, or better yet, it's got long-term effect on the entire community. So always make sure you take extra care in your decision making, because it does affect more people than what you may first think of.
And he was a heck of a mayor too, wasn't he? I mean, he came into it and he just seemed to just get it. He got it from the get-go, didn't he?
Yeah, and just a solid guy, a good person, really respected as council person. So there's a lot of his attributes that I'd like to carry forward and assure the citizens of Oakdale I'm going to deliver, you know, good, steady, firm and fair and honest the way we do business.
One of the things Carm said is that he could count on one hand how many serious, hardcore complaints he ever got from the citizens. I think that's just outstanding, isn't it? I mean, really. And you too, as a council person, I'm sure you didn't get a whole lot of complaints either, did you?
You would get calls, and I figure that was really a strength of making sure, you know, that, again, I respect being elected. I'm humbled, and and it's an honor. So when a resident has an issue, I like to respond
Sure.
personally to it and quickly.
I think Carmen
And
was pretty good at that, too,
yes,
wasn't
he
would,
was,
absolutely.
and
As you should.
And I
as you
met
should.
with Carmen to go over what his strength, his recommendation
Good for
and
you.
tips. After I got elected, and we discussed that. And I anticipate more requests for special problems, but I've always told everybody, all over, all my friends and other communities, just how great the citizens of Oakdale are.
Yep.
They rarely complain. When I meet them, they're always very kind and appreciative
Sure.
of the work you do, and they like our city. And I always like to inquire, well, what can we do better? And you really have to kind of drag it out of them, because most of their citizens just want to be, they're positive and want
Sure.
to be kind.
And no complaints must mean you're doing things right, wouldn't you
Well, it's certainly a good indicator. And,
Absolutely.
I think one attribute that's good to be, and this is what I instilled, is that I really want to make this city better going forward. I'm a big believer you just can't maintain. You got to be working on making it better. So that's
kind of my next question there. What made you decide to run for mayor?
right. Well, I have one. I want to continue kind of a city council and the level of service that Carmen Serac provided as mayor. I want to continue on with be that solid representation. But I had 4 things I ran on. I put this in my literature, and when I ran on council, I like to put things in my literature, because then when you get voted in, it really gives you that support to move forward. The voters have endorsed you. And I had 4 things. First thing was kind of neighborhood revitalization. We've been working on plans to target specific things in different
Are you
neighborhood
saying
areas.
redevelopment? You're saying redevelopment?
I like to call it revitalization.
Okay.
Evaluating neighborhoods and what the city can do to help those neighborhoods stay strong and get better. A lot of that, big part of that will be policing. I'd like to improve neighborhood policing. So then my second thing I'd like to work on is economic growth, business development, and jobs. I like the city image and identity. I'd like to work with our new Oakdale Chamber to make sure that we're marketing Oakdale as good as we can. For that, we can get some of the better developments, or we can get some of the best companies. And even from a citizen perspective, the image, for that we portray our city in the best light and market ourselves as a great place to work, live, and play.
Sure.
And then the third thing was teenage and senior engagement. We have this growing senior population, and I've already started things to let's look at our programming to make sure seniors feel really valued in Oakdale. Maybe there's programming we can provide that those seniors would pay a nominal fee for, or they should get part of our programming. Make sure that they're getting part of our programming support to make sure they're valued and are integral part of our community. Part of that might be jobs where they could help our businesses out. And teens, I'd like to also get them, maybe look at teens that potentially could be at trouble. Maybe they could help with our neighborhood revitalization. Maybe there's some tasks they could do. And again, there's a lot of teens that aren't doing all the normal high school sports and things. So to make sure we have teenage programming in our city that keeps them busy and out of trouble. And then my fourth item is just improving our parks. And I think now that we're getting new growth in our commercial development, that's providing funding to our parks. Our parks have not gotten a lot of funding in recent years because we haven't had economic growth. But I think I've always wanted to have strong parks, and to the point of it'll be part of our neighborhood revitalization. And in such as we've got a site along Century Avenue called the Priory, and
Yes.
I'd like to look at working with Maplewood. It's got we both own like large parcels there, and maybe we can combine them into a regional park. So that's maybe a long-range vision, but I think it's worth looking into. It's been on the council interest level for some time now.
Okay.
So, those are my 4 things.
That's good. You got some good goals. I think that's wonderful. Now, we have a couple of new council people on there. One was elected and one was appointed.
Right.
So there we got 2 new council people.
Right.
So you want to, have you met with these? I think you mentioned you met with them and you talked to them.
Right.
And, so they're new people.
Right.
They've never been on a council
Right.
before, and so tell us about them.
Well, I was a new person at one time,
Absolutely.
too. And what I did is, with Carmen being such a stable mayor, I thought it was good to meet individually with each council person to see what their goals were, to see what their expectation was of the mayor is, and to actually say, hey, it's an opportunity as with a new mayor
Sure.
to improve the city and make it even stronger. I see it as an opportunity. Same with the 2 new council person. It's an opportunity for
Sure.
us to do better things. Now, I met with, in particular, Kristen Cece. She was the next highest vote getter that wasn't elected, but like myself, I first wasn't elected, but I was the next highest vote getter. So we weren't required, but we thought it was best interest that the citizens spoke with their votes, and it was best to appoint Kristen Cece.
I think
And I
it's a
think
good
she's-
idea too. I think she's
So
very.
she'll be our second
Yes.
woman on council, so I'm
Yes.
excited about, and I believe she's 30 years old, and she's a very talented woman.
She's a very smart woman, isn't she?
And
I was very
I think
impressed
it's
with her.
exciting that we'll have 2 women on council.
Yeah.
We've had only 1 for a long time.
Yeah.
And she's 30 years old, so we'll get younger ideals. And then we've got Bill Rasmussen. He was elected. He was next to Lori. Lori Polkovic is back for her 5th term, and she's excellent. And then I want to mention Paul Reinke. He's back. He was midterm. Both of us ran for mayor, and he's excellent. It's so good to have Paul back. And then I met with Bill Rasmussen, our newest elected city council person. And Bill is, of senior age, but it's good to get that senior opinion. And Bill has been like an awesome volunteer.
Sure.
He's served on commission. So we have 2 new city council persons, one being senior, one being young.
Younger,
I like this.
The age
the
variance.
new mix.
Yeah, absolutely. I
You
think
combine with this with Lori and Paul.
Yep.
I'm hoping we still have stability, but yet we'll have some
Well, you
new
got
thoughts.
you got good new ideas coming into, and I think that's always
Right.
good sometimes.
Yeah.
But we're running out of time here. But I just want to. What are your plans working with local communities? I mean, you're going to have to work with Lake Elmo and North St. Paul and Maplewood, and
right.
and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad.
Right.
We're surrounded.
Well, we always have to have an open eye to where there's opportunities to work with the other
Sure.
cities, because you can't live in a bubble. And if we can share services where that makes sense for cost savings and efficiencies, and best yet to make things better. Like I said, when I met with all the department heads also, and I said, if we can justify a need in our city based on cost savings or efficiency, that's great.
Sure.
But another measure is, do the citizens see that as it's an improvement? And I think there's things we can work on with the other communities. They may not be ready to work with us, but we got to keep knocking on that door.
Good for you.
One example is, I'd really like to pursue this regional park ideal, but I have to get Maplewood to jumpstart. Their mayor, who's relatively new, Nora Slawick, I worked with her for years. I'm going to try to see if Maplewood will look at that parcel near Hill Mary that's across the street from our big parcel.
Sure.
And if we could, with it being a state road, maybe there's a way to get a tunnel, and that way we would have a 100-acre park with trail systems, and it'd be kind of a regional, where we could get a regional draw, we could get some regional support, and it would be a win-win. Our park would be better with their land.
Sure.
Their park would be better with our land. That's just one idea on the park front. But we're also going to be looking at ways, and we always do it like with fire department equipment. and how do we work with our counties for working with our county is a big opportunity. We already do that with the police department for SWAT teams and narcotics
Absolutely.
and things like
And you know, in
that.
the grand scheme of things, that saves money. When you combine
Yeah, it does.
services, it saves money.
And then you get a better skill level because now you've got specialized skills that you can share amongst other cities.
Sure. Well, Stan, we are out of time, but I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And you very clearly stated where you see Oakdale going in the next 4 years,
Right.
for sure, anyway.
Right, I'm excited.
Yes, and I think you're going to do a fine job. And I want to thank you for joining us on Oakdale Update.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay. It's almost time for a short break, but first, here's our trivia question. Snow removal is a common activity for all of us this winter. How long does it take the city to plow our streets after a snowstorm? Is it 8 hours, 10 hours, or 12 hours? We'll have the answer later in the show. It's time for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of Oakdale Update in just a minute.
This financial advisor is being accused of committing one of the largest investment frauds in the history of the United States.
I guess we're not going to Aspen. That's fine. You see, I like tennis balls. He likes insider trading. So he's going to jail and I'm going to a shelter. And no, they're not the same thing. Shelters are for good pets that want to be adopted. Jails are for criminals. I've done nothing. Uh-oh. Ooh, okay, I stole a cheeseburger once. I'm a dog.
Welcome back to Oakdale Update. It's now time for this month's code enforcement reminders. Our first one deals with house numbers. Time is of the essence when emergency personnel are searching for your home or business. That's why exterior address numbers need to be visible from the street. A minimum of 4 inches in height and located near the primary entrance. Next, here's a trash container reminder. Except on collection day, garbage, trash, and recycling containers need to be stored on the side or back of your house or the garage, or inside the garage or shed. Just not in front of your property. Questions? Please call 651-730-2727. And our final code enforcement today is a winter parking reminder. The city's winter parking started November 1st. So until April 1st, parked vehicles need to be kept off city streets from midnight to 5 a.m. or day and night when there is measurable snowfall. 2 inches or more of snow is the rule of thumb. For more information, call 651-730-2740. It may be cold outside, but there are some indoor events in the coming weeks that are sure to warm you up. Every other Saturday morning at the Discovery Center is the indoor market. You'll find a wide variety of local products, including baked goods, meats, cheeses, syrup, books, art and crafts, and much more. Remaining dates include January 17th and 31st, February 14th and the 28th, and March 14th from 9 a.m. to noon at the Discovery Center, 4444 Hadley Avenue. We're just about out of time, but first let's answer a trivia question. We asked you, how long does it take the city to plow our streets after a snowstorm? The correct answer was C. That's all we have time for. For everyone at the City of Oakdale, thanks for watching.